Hang on, Chris. Edit point. Wait, what? You've been not doing it for that long? You forgot your username and password?
At 2017, something like that.
Sorry, Jamie. You said it. I just caught it. That's all.
Dear, oh dear. That's 2017 on the 11th of October 2014.
Yeah, but it's all updated now, thanks to Steve.
Cool.
Hey,
Also, something else has just kind of struck me as well that nobody's picked up on, probably because nobody listens to the sponsory thing anyway, which you should, because all the information about our sponsors is on the website.
And it's genuine.
MakersInternationalPodcast.com/sponsors. And, you know, honestly, these folks are awesome, and the stuff they do is awesome as well. I always say our good friend at Chad, kind of implying that the others aren't. Have you noticed that? And that wasn't the intention. That wasn't the intention, because they're all our buddies. Glenn and Chad and Pam and Steve. They're all
good people.
And they're kind of
and they're here to hook you guys up that are listening, and because occasionally we may get a little something from them, but it's as far as sponsorships. Do you think we make any money? Look at what we're wearing.
just look at us.
We don't make any money off this.
I haven't eaten in days. My clothes have all got holes in.
We're just happy to say we have sponsors. I mean, come on.
It's just another little tactic that makes us sound that little bit more professional and knowing what we're talking about
than what we actually are and do.
It's a paper thin veneer at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Don't sand us, because you'll burn through real quick.
Absolutely. Talking of burning through real quick, presumably there are some random questions from the week that we can burn through quickly, or should we go straight into tonight's topic?
Let's go straight into the topic, because all the questions are related to that topic. And if you'd like, I could start out with some of the questions that I had, just because I'm an outsider, kind of looking in at this world. Because go ahead. Good.
I was just going to say, if there aren't any random listener questions, I have a random question for tonight that we could probably. That I kind of need. What are we talking about tonight, Chris? I've sort of been out of the loop a little bit.
Stick around, Richard. You'll catch on.
Okay. Edit that bit out, and we'll just go with it.
No. It's okay. It's almost expected nowadays. We're talking, Richard, about doing YouTube Live, or doing Facebook Live, or I don't know, can you do Instagram Live? I don't know if you can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay, or Instagram. Okay, or Instagram Live. See, I'm not on Instagram. I don't know these things. But
not Twitch.
Well, Twitch is.
It is live, but not Twitch. You've got to draw the line somewhere, haven't you? It's like.
Oh God, no, you do, but I don't. Anyway, let's move on. The questions that I had coming into this was because I didn't know, because we've seen a lot of people either come out that we haven't known before, that all of a sudden just started doing live streams, or we've seen people that used to do produced videos that now only do live streams, or we've seen people that used to do produced videos that now do live streams but also do produced videos on top. So I had questions about that, and I'm not questioning the live streams, guys. A lot of you know I've been in your chats and I've given you a hard time the best I can, and so I'm not against live streams. But I want to know the reason for doing them. Is it because it's easier? Because you don't have to do the. Let me finish, Jamie. You don't have to do the production, the music, the editing, all that kind of fun stuff. Or is it because you just like doing the live streams more? That's my question.
So I know of a couple of people that's exactly the reason, that they just don't like editing, or can't edit, or just not very good at editing, or whatever. So yeah, I think that probably is the reason for a lot of people. So yeah,
have you? Because you do lives, don't you, Jamie? Or you've done lives?
Yeah, I've started to do a few more lives. Yeah,
and I know Chris has done. You did. We were chatting. You've done one. And I think you decided that you probably wouldn't do any more.
No. I had listeners that told me not to do them ever again. Just don't do that again.
You've got to, got to take in from the listeners, haven't you?
Frankly, I don't care. They could go away, and I could still do them live. I just haven't bothered.
Yeah.
I mean, I have done. I'm just looking on my thing now. I've got 5 live streams on my channel that are still up. They were. I don't know if you know this, but when you do a live stream, the video stays up. It's not like you on Instagram, and I think on Facebook as well. I've never done Facebook Live, but if you go live on YouTube, that video stays in your channel's video kind of catalog. But I think certainly on Instagram it doesn't. Once you're off, that's it. They don't keep the file. So I've currently got 5 on there. I've done loads more because what I found was nobody watched them after that. Well, very few people watched them after the fact. So you'd stream, people would come in, you'd chat, you'd have like we do of a Sunday night. But then after that, very few people would watch them. The numbers would one or two a month, if at all. That's what I found.
That was going to be my second question. And I guess it would have to be a question I'd have to ask somebody who did produced videos before, but now has gone exclusively to live streams. It would be more fitting for that person to answer this. But my biggest question about that is, what has doing them exclusively now done to your viewership? Because I have seen a lot of live streams. I've seen popular live streams. I've seen Adam Savage do live streams, and I've gone back a week later, and Adam may have 6,000 to 8,000 views on that live stream. Whereas if Adam Savage puts out a video, he gets like 1.2 million views. So my thought was that while doing it may be easier, while doing it because the interaction that people have in the chat, like we do on this show every week, is enjoyable, which is obviously why we continue doing this. But you take a bump elsewhere. You take a hit in the viewership, and if you're one of those, wannabe full-time YouTubers, that can't be a good thing. That's just my thought.
So I think you initially when you're doing the lives, your audience retention is going to be up there around the 100% mark. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you click that off-air mark, that's when the audience retention goes down, because no one's going to come back and watch an hour to 2 hour live stream. They just won't. And after that, it's going to get lower and lower and lower, and that's when it starts affecting your channel. So one of the things that I've usually done is I'll go back and edit said video and then put that video or put that live to unlisted, because that way you keep them views, but it doesn't appear in your thing. If you put it to private, then you lose your videos. That's almost like deleting a video.
Right.
But if you put it to unlisted, no one can see it, except for you, obviously.
Is that true? Is it if you set a video to private, then the views
disappear? The views disappear off
your
channel. Yeah, but if it's set to unlisted, they stay there.
Well, and we Andy, I think it was either Andy or Chris Murray had a question about that a little bit later on, and I'll get to that, guys. Just give me a second. But the thrust of what this idea came from for me to talk about this today was, if you're doing live streams as opposed to doing the edited video content, has your focus gone from more of being entertainment to now being more of a teacher? Because a 7-minute video can be entertaining to watch and see how this guy comes to, oh, that's kind of cool, and there's music to go along with it. So it's more of an entertainment thing than an hour-long live stream, which tends to be can be, not always, but can be more of an instructional thing, because you've got live interaction happening, people asking questions, you giving answers. And if that's all that happens within that live stream, you do become more of a teacher in a live stream than you do in a produced video, let's say. I mean, that's a question I'm just throwing out there. Are you more?
It can be both. To be honest, I think it'd be both entertaining, and people can pick up hints and tricks. They can ask questions in the live, like what grind is that on your tool for if you're a wood turner, what blade are you using on a scroll saw, what's the best router bit to use for this kind of application. Ask finishing questions, and then you give your reply. You're teaching them something, where it can also be entertaining at the same time.
No, I'm not saying that the lives aren't an entertainment experience. I'm not saying that. All I'm just saying is, does the live take on more of a instruction quality than what a produced video would? And I'm not saying that they are either one of the two, because you can do instructional videos that are produced, and you can do live videos that are just totally entertaining. I'm just saying, does it tend to lean towards more of the instruction in a live than it does to the recorded?
Yeah, so I think I know what you're saying. I think you've got what you're trying to say, Chris, is if you compare a produced instructional video of let's say how to cut a piece of wood,
right?
If you have that produced video, I think it can be a useful how-to tutorial video in 7 minutes. Also, if you compare that to an hour-long live stream of how to cut a piece of wood, that too can be an exceptionally useful tutorial video. And I think you have to compare those two. So potentially it has got, absolutely, it's got far more potential, because that's like saying, if I watched a video of how to turn a bowl, or if I stand next to the person turning the bowl, you can go, like Jamie said, hang on a minute, how did you do that? Oh, well, and then you kind of go off on a little tangent, you answer the question, and then you're back into what you kind of go off script. But
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's got the potential there. I mean, and the example that I'll use to kind of quantify that is Tormek. I recently bought a Tormek, don't you know? But as a result of that, I started watching. They do a live. I think it's weekly. They do a live stream for about an hour or so about very specific parts of like their jigs. So one of them, they did like an hour and a half live stream on just using the planer blade jig for their machine. And they get people all over the world watching these. That's the other thing, which can be a kind of a thorn as well as a rose. But someone asks a question. Well, what about if you do this? And they'll stop, go and get the thing that somebody's asked for, even if it's completely unrelated. Come in, show the person that thing that they've asked, answer the question, answer it to everybody, and then carry on with what they were doing. Whereas if you do that in a produced video, you don't have that option. You just got to type a comment and hope that the person sees it 2 years after the video's been posted and is still responding to comments. Do you know what I mean?
Well, of course, Andy Pugh has chimed in, and Andy, I'm gonna answer this for you. He says, "How about just saying this? A pre-recorded video is like a lecture in a university college, and a live is more like a tutorial." Well, Andy, I don't want to pigeonhole either one of those things into being one and or the other, because a pre-recorded video can be nothing but sheer entertainment, and a live show can be nothing but sheer entertainment as well. I don't want it. The intent of that question was, has doing a live stream become more of a lean towards giving instruction because you are interacting with an audience? I have a funny feeling people are taking this personally. Don't take it personally. I'm just asking how the lean of the live is different from the lean of a recorded, and it depends on who's doing it. First of all, it depends on what you're watching, I guess. So I don't want to pigeonhole that. That wasn't my intent in asking that question.
I think it's almost the best of both worlds, because if you're doing it live, I mean, I remember when I was doing lives, kind of consciously trying to do them fairly regularly, it sort of turned into, or had the potential to turn into, something which was very personal to the people watching. Firstly, I kind of got a sense of those people. It was much more personal interaction, I felt, than just putting a video out there. Much like the lives that we do every Sunday, so we have our fairly regular listeners, watchers, whatever word you want to use. People like, and I will single people out, Andy. We've got people like Mark Christopher, who joins us regularly, and I'm trying not to look down the comments, but Chris and Emma Murray that are fairly regular, and Andy Heels are fairly regular, and then we get people that kind of pop in when they can. So I mean, it was, I thought, a much more personal way of kind of interacting with people, as well as putting out the video and keeping it in people's minds and all that sort of stuff. Does that make sense?
Apparently, yeah, it does. I'm not so sure that we're getting my point across, at least what I was coming from to people that are in the chat. But I can only say this: I asked the question with no malice intent. Okay, we have a couple nuts and bolts questions if you guys want to. And Jamie, I know that you know a little bit about this, and it's a good question to ask because Richard has no clue.
Good, never.
We're talking about audio. AUDIO, Richard, audio. But I mean, honestly, the first question from Chris Murray was this, and I'll tell you a person that I've watched that I think has this thing nailed down. That's Dale from Maple Tree Studios. I've watched a number of his lives, and the man has it down. He says, "How do people manage moving camera angles during a live?" Jamie, and I know you've been to Dale's shop, so if you want to tell people about that, and
do you know, if I had a week to answer that question about Dale's workshop, I still couldn't be able to figure it out myself. Honestly, you know, I look at my own workshop, and that's not even at 1% like Dale's, and I'm still sitting here and I'm going, what the hell? He's like, plug it in over there and put that cable in there, and then plug that into there, and then that will work. And I'm like, what? So, yeah, I don't know what he's gone and done, but he's a miracle worker, that man. But I find a lot of people are using things like Stream Decks now, which is like a little box with a few buttons on it, and you can just press that, and it will automatically swap cameras and all that kind of stuff.
I bet that's a very similar sort of thing to the kind of kit that, Chris, you probably would have had in the studio.
Yeah.
You know, you've got sliders for, you know, the guest mics and someone else's mic.
A very, very simple way that I do it when I do my lives at the moment, before I get set up properly, is like I'm on StreamYard now. All I do is I go to the little gear icon at the bottom and then just swap cameras. As simple as that, you know. And then,
but I guess what he's asking is, or at least this is what I took from it, Chris. This is wrong, then you correct me. But he's talking about how do people manage moving camera angles during a live. The question is, I guess, how many cameras should you have in your? It's going to depend on what you're doing. I mean, because I know Dale has one for his scroll saw, he has one for his painting place. He's got one for
about 20.
Oh, let's not go. Let's. And I love Dale too, by the way. He's a great guy. But I mean, if you've got, it requires more cameras and then a way to toggle between the cameras. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think when you get into that kind of level, you are effectively turning your workshop from a workshop into a studio.
Fort Knox.
Well, yeah, if you got that much kit in there, then yeah, Fort Knox. But more or less basically a TV studio, you know, where you've got more than one camera, and that, like the Stream Deck thing, is effectively you being the producer and the cameraman all in one go, and the director and everyone.
Okay.
Whereas when I stream, and I know a lot of other people do that as well, and I guess it's, you know, it depends on where you want to kind of position yourself as an individual. Do you want to go down that road, or do you want to, like I used to, just like one camera, hang on, wait a second, and you know, plonk it over there, and then you forget, and you know, which isn't good.
I think everybody would like to become as polished as they possibly could.
Absolutely.
And so it's an honest question. All right. Let me ask this first question. Which goes back to you, Mr. Morley, which you're not allowed to ask because I know you have no advice to give. I'll ask Jamie this because I know Jamie knows. What is a good headset to use? And before you answer, he says, Richard, pay attention. The amount of noise or lack of audio can be the difference in the quality of a live stream.
So going back to Dale, it's one of them things that what Dale doesn't know about sound, audio, sound and camera, you can write on the back of a stamp. You know, so Dale suggested that I get the Jabra Evolve 65. It comes in mono or stereo, so you can get another one of them there if you wanted to. But as you can see, I normally sit here with one ear off, so I thought I'll just get the one. So I've had this on, and I could do turning with it, and it does not pick up the lathe.
So it's basically a noise canceling microphone that you have on your head, which is a very directional microphone. It's not an omnidirectional mic; it's a directional microphone, and it's also noise canceling. So, because I think I saw Dale today during his or somebody, I think it must have been Dale, that actually asked if anybody could hear their compressor going, and you couldn't hear the compressor whatsoever. And I don't know about anybody else's compressor out there, but when I turn my compressor on, that friggin' thing makes some noise. I mean,
your neighbors start complaining, don't they? They're like 2.5 miles down the road.
I mean, birds fly away from the trees around my house when I fire mine up. So, you know, it makes a lot of noise. So it really does matter. So that's a great question, Chris.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, they're not the cheapest of headsets, but by golly, they're good.
So if you're gonna do lives, look into something like that.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I went down completely the other end of the chain. I mean, I've tried like the Bluetooth headphones, so that I could connect. I could basically just a set of Walkman headphones. Basically, you connect them to your laptop via Bluetooth, and they've got like a hands-free for your phone talkie thing, so you could talk into that, and that supposedly have noise cancelling. But I found the audio I don't know what it was. It was just kind of whether there was interference, but it kind of went a bit, occasionally. There was the plug-in one as well, which was basically a similar sort of thing that Jamie had with like a Britney Spears mic down one side, and again that you'd end up with like showing your age, Madonna. Then okay, so
I'd have gone for Janet Jackson. I mean, but okay, whatever. I mean, it's all right.
Cables get in the way. So in the end, what I started using this. My this one was it Chris?
It's the Yeti.
The Yeti. So I don't know. And I'd literally just plonk it in the corner of the workshop because it would pick things up, and then it would pick me up talking absolutely fine. The problem I had was then you'd forget and you'd go and turn the table saw on, and all of a sudden all the listeners were like, because this table, and then you forget, and so somebody watches it a week later and they're doing exactly the same thing, trying to watch it subtly at work or whatever. It's about kind of getting those noise levels appropriate in a live stream, which is just, we all know how difficult it is to remember to move the camera and remember to do this and remember to do that, and then you forget, and it's just something else. Just when I personally found when it was me on my own without somebody in my ear or somebody else at the computer, it just turned into just too much to think about, which is basically
that's why if you put your ducks in a row before you do it, then you don't have to worry about it, Richard. It's like your sound's good, your noise canceling is good, your camera angles are good, then you can just go do your thing, and it becomes a lot less to worry about. It's just it takes. This is going to be a rare word for you. You need to hear this. I mean, it's called preparation. Okay.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. But and even with all of that, the difference between hearing me talk, which is at like a decibel level of maybe 10, to a table saw, which is 90 plus, no noise cancelling is that good. Do you know what I mean? It's always because there's such extremes.
So you've got to play with your setup a little bit until you got it, and then you feel confident about it, and then you're good to go. It's called preparation, and there's no H after that either. Of course, there could be, but anyway. Andy Pugh has questions. And Andy, once again, thank you very much. I don't know that we're going to get to all of them today, my friend, but you certainly have several good ones. He's going to start out with his questions for the people that do live streams. So we're going to be watching the chat for the answers on this one, guys. And we can also obviously give our very limited knowledge of this, but I'll be looking, Jamie, if you want to keep a track of what's going on in the chat.
Yes. Yeah, no worries, mate.
He's asking to the content creators that do a number of live streams, either once or more than once a week. Is this a good way to generate watch time? on your channel, which is which is important to people, looking to get to 1,000 subscribers and get their YouTube channels monetized. Does doing lives help generate watch time, or is it kind of Anyway, I've never looked into it because, like I said, my experience is limited to doing one, so I have no idea how to research that. But I would assume, and ASS-U-me, I would assume that if you have enough people watching and they watch for the entire hour, it's not going to hurt your watch time. It's probably going to help. But I don't know if it will generate the amount of watch time that you need. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just looking I certainly found that there was a definite spike. Absolutely. I don't think it made a huge amount of difference over time. But yeah, so I mean, I'm just looking at a graph here, and in terms of minutes, one live stream, which was an hour long, there's 1,200 minutes on the day of the stream. And then after that, there's like little tiny bits, so you got the graph, and there's a huge spike at one end, and then like a tiny little blip occasionally, every now and again, when somebody tunes in and finds it. But then that was kind of my point. At the time, it did, but over time, no, it doesn't. So and that's why I've deleted so many of those live streams, because it wasn't. If people aren't watching them, there's no point in being on there. Does that make sense?
Well, it did what you intended it to do for that day, but I mean, after that, it wasn't really worth having. Okay.
I think initially, like Richard was saying, it does, but over a long period, no, I don't think so. You'll get the watch time for the day, but after that, I don't think so. It can't hurt, obviously.
Well, I mean, Dale does a number of live streams. He says watch time, tick subs, not so much. So maybe watch time goes, but you're not going to get it. And then Dale, thank you, because that leads me to Dandy's next question. He says, is it generally the same audience every time that you have, or is it a good way to reach out and get a new audience by doing these things? And we can only speak from. I mean, obviously, we do a live show every week, and you guys are out in the chat, and so. I think generally speaking, and we love you all and thank you for it, but I think generally speaking, it's mostly a lot of the same audience. And occasionally we get a few people that stick their nose in there and go, hey, hi, what are you doing? Kind of thing. But you know what? Getting generally the same audience every week is not a bad thing, especially when you have a good-sized audience. I mean, that there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you start out with 6 and a year later you still have 6, okay, problem. But I mean, if you're growing your channel by doing lives, then grow your channel by doing lives, because not only is your audience going to grow, but you're going to grow with it. So I mean, I don't have a problem with
that. Yeah. And also, I mean, and I'm thinking purely about this show and us doing it. For the flogging a dead horse for the last 4 years. I can remember when we first started, the first couple of shows, it was all very intimidating, and we just sort of go along with it. Whereas now, I don't care about that, and we'll take the mickey out of each other, and what is, and you just kind of get into it. So for me, doing this live, it now is a completely different animal to when it first started. So in that sense, I think the 3 of us, the 5, 6, 7 of us over time have kind of grown with it as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because you start out trying to do the basics and get the basics down. And then from there, you kind of grow into being whatever it's going to become. And there was no magical light at the end of the tunnel. It's just, this is where it is. And it is going to be popular, or it's not. And we're 4 years into it and don't even have 1,000 subscribers yet. So we know it's okay. We don't care. It's okay.
I think it's about what your goal is as well. I mean, if
Yeah,
you're
well, yeah, good point. Good point.
if you're doing
never
it
had that goal.
for a very specific reason, whether that reason is to grow in subscribers or to get more watch time or to, have more viewers or whatever it is,
Monetize your channel, whatever the case may be. Yeah.
if over time, and time T, not a specific amount of time, if over a period of time you are getting more of this or more of that or whatever it is, then you are growing, doing what you're trying to do, and therefore it is worth it. If you're not, then maybe it's not the thing. Because I think, for me personally, I think live streams on whatever platform definitely have their place, but for me it's about finding exactly what that place is. I don't think, for me certainly, it's just live streams, or it's just produced videos, or it's just 3 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, a specific time slot. I think it's part of a bigger picture. So
you just gave me an idea for a new channel, because I could actually do live streams, and I could title it the 3 a.m. channel, which would be 6 a.m. Well, which would be 9 a.m. in the UK time, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning for me. Man, if I got up, walked out in my shop at 3 a.m. every morning and just signed on to a live stream and went, "Hey, how are you?"
Shellacking with Chris.
No, it wouldn't even be that. It would just be
shellac drying.
I'm waking up. What are you guys doing? I'm gonna
Would that be like relaxing?
Yeah,
Yes, shellaxing with Chris.
Chillaxing with Chris.
It's just a camera on the mop.
yeah. I'd be
just
rubbing the
leave that for a minute
sleepies
before
out of
we,
my eyes. Going,
denib.
yeah. So what? I'd be going, what day is it? Okay. Anyway. All right. Well, more questions from Andy, because he took 2 perspectives today. Actually, he has 3. But his first was for the content producers, and that was. And Andy, I'm going to limit the questions you had for us to that today. But for the audience, he has questions. The audience is that if you're not doing live streams and you're just the normal YouTube user, and you love these people that do the live streams, but even though you love these people that are doing the live streams, if it's an hour-long live stream, would you necessarily go back and watch the whole live stream, or would you kind of go, "Darn it, I missed it," and then not bother?
I have done before. I have done before on multiple occasions, but I couldn't sit here and watch a live stream on a computer. I'd have to, like, for example, I've got a TV in my bed that connects in my bedroom that connects to the YouTube. I'd have to sit down or sit on the sofa and rewatch it. I have done many times.
Could you possibly not worry about watching the live stream, but possibly using it in your shop as more of a podcast?
Could do, but the problem is I'd want to watch, like, for it, I'm going to use Wayne the Woodturner as a prime example.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me wanting to learn traditional tools, Wayne's a prime example of, a lot of the time Wayne explains what he's doing, which is why Wayne has got a really, really good live stream that he does. I mean, he pulls in nearly 100 viewers now. So Wayne would be a perfect one to go back and rewatch. So I'll sit there and I often go back and rewatch a lot of Wayne's ones.
We're talking about Wayne the Woodturner, right?
Yes, Wayne the Woodturner.
Okay.
I mean, this for me, and this is kind of really weird because I never expected this to happen. What Jamie's just said in that setting, and what you were saying earlier, Chris, about your tutorials versus entertainment thing, I think the two are implicitly, exclusively linked almost, because thinking of certainly wood turning, I think if Wayne's pulling in his viewership because he is explaining, because it's a tutorially sort of video rather than
as well. No, I've watched Wayne. He's also very entertaining, but also
Wayne's is very entertaining as well.
I'm not saying it's not, but I think just bear with me for a second. I think with an emphasis on the, even not deliberately so, but the ability to teach and the increased ability. the increased ability to learn from that kind of video, I think that's going to have a much stronger, certainly for me as a viewer, that's going to have a much stronger pull rather, for me to watch that if I want to learn wood turning, compared to, because actually, 100 views, this is going to sound really snooty, but 100 views is not a huge number of views. Whereas Jamie, some of your videos, 4, 5, 100,000 views on some of your videos in the first month. Yeah, you've got some comparatively big numbers, and they're not going to be or they're not only going to be from people who just want to learn, because that's not a learning. Because I'm just thinking of a friend of ours, the husband of someone that we walk the dogs with. He loves watching turning videos, those kind of relaxing, just cool music, relaxing, 100% entertainment. That you're not going to, that kind of person isn't interested in Wayne's tutorial live stream. Whereas it's entertaining, but it's not got the same appeal to the same audience.
Each person has their own interest. I mean,
absolutely.
Everybody's different. I mean, because you can sit back and turn the sound off and watch Carl or Wayne or any of these turners turn something and completely just relax, enjoying the process, and without even knowing what they're doing, kind of go, I wonder what they're going to come up with this time. And it's just a very chill view. So yeah, I can see that. I
I actually had one of my friends tell me he uses my videos to go to sleep with.
That was me, wasn't it? That's the scroll story videos, yeah.
Because of the music I had in it.
As long as your videos keep coming up while they're sleeping, there goes your watch time, right? Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
For the audience again, Andy wants to know, and I think this is a basic question, Andy, but I'm going to ask it anyway, just because I think we can get by this really quick. Would it help if the video creator that did the live stream went back and added timestamps to it, to the description for learning points, or whatever case they may be within the video itself? So what Andy is basically asking is, the people that are watching these live streams, perhaps after the fact, that are trying to learn something, would it be beneficial to go back, for the creators to go back in and timestamp where lessons can be learned?
So I've thought about doing that on my turning videos, and I can't see the point in doing it. So I don't see the point in going, right, well, this is part where I'm turning the outside, sanding, Yorkshire grit. And it's like, now I'm going to start hollowing.
If you were doing specific techniques on something and people wanted to learn the different techniques that you were doing, then I think then the answer to that is a no-brainer. The answer is that would really help. But it wouldn't help you as the creator. But as an audience person, somebody watching, yes, that would be very beneficial, because then you could just go watch the part that interests you and then not watch the rest.
Yeah.
I think I know you can do that. I've done it on a couple of I don't think they're the ones that are still up on my channel, but you could definitely put like links in the description to specific timestamps of that video. I can't remember how you do it, but it is quite simple. That's probably why I can't remember it. So it's just like 2:02, and it becomes a hyperlink, and then it says, I don't know, skew chisel and then you click on it and it will jump to that part. So if you're a viewer watching that could be hugely beneficial. And again, it could be another way to
get somebody to watch the video.
And again, if as the content creator, you can then go and look in the analytics for that video, and you can see, like I think it's on the retention graph, isn't it, where you get spikes to somebody's jump to that point to watch, so exactly what people are looking at, and therefore you can tailor maybe other videos, maybe a produced video just about that bit that's proved to be popular in that live or whatever. But I mean, Wayne's put in the thing, he says, "Now I can't be bothered," I think he said. No, he didn't say that, but something close. If that's again, it depends. It's just like everything else. It depends on how kind of serious and focused you are around it. It's another tool that's an option if you want to. I mean, I like doing live streams because you don't do any editing. Well, you don't have to do any editing,
right?
I guess that's a
no. You don't have to do anything. I used to do a heck of a lot more than I do now. But anyway, I'm going to carry on, and we're going to finish up Andy's questions and probably the rest of the time that we have today. These are just general questions to ask the maker community. Do live videos carry a greater sense of authority as opposed to a pre-recorded video? I don't know how to quantify that. I don't know how to break that down. I mean, whether you're doing it live or you're doing it recorded, it's still you doing it. So I don't know. I guess it's kind of, you have to take maybe I'm taking more of a creator look at this than I should, Andy. Maybe you're trying to look, I need to step out of that box and maybe look at it more as a viewer. Would you find it more credible that somebody knows what they're talking about if you saw them do it live in an hour as opposed to somebody who did it recorded in 7 minutes? I don't know.
I don't think I'd find it less credible for a produced video. However, I don't think that the truth worth is. I don't think the same is true in reverse. In so much as there's no dispute. If somebody does it live and they go, right, now I'm going to do this. Yeah, we all make mistakes. We all have hiccups. To keep it in the kind of wood turning thing. We all get a catch. Blah blah blah. For somebody to go, right, now I'm going to do this, and it's done. You could have done that 100 times and messed it up, and it was just that one
time that you got it right.
That one take.
Yeah.
You kept it.
That's the kind of cliche Instagram filter, isn't it? How many photos did you actually take before you got that photo? But I think you've got to tailor that with the overall picture of that individual. I mean, I think if you're thinking along those lines, the question that I'd ask is, do you actually trust that person anyway?
Yeah, how much?
If you've got any doubt, why are you watching them live?
If you're kind of iffy on it, yeah. I mean, you either respect or consider the person credible, or you don't. As far as that goes. All right. Last question.
I was going to say, I was always under the impression that people only watched me live because they were just like, is this going to be the time he cuts his hand off? Just waiting for that accident.
All right, Richard. Last question. And Andy asked this with a bit of hesitation, I should mention, because he didn't know if we wanted to open this bag of worms or not. And you know what? I'm not afraid of worms, so let's go for it. Do live videos carry a great risk of producing fractures within the maker community? Difference of opinion, trolling, subpar communication, etc., can lead to a more emotionally charged experience for those involved. Is this amplified by doing the lives as opposed to the produced?
I think it can put you on edge, which could possibly sometimes lead to a catch if you wood turning, a broken blade if you scroll sawing. If all of a sudden you start getting trolled over in the chat and you're not kind of used to it, maybe, or you're not a big fan of criticism, maybe it can knock you for six.
Well, I think he's talking about the majority of the maker community is at least familiar with itself at this point in time. I mean, it has grown to be a huge number compared to where it once started. When I don't know, when Richard was doing his thing, when I was doing my thing, but it's grown exponentially beyond that. And so you're always going to have differences of opinion. But he's asking you, if you do this, is it opening you up to? Because the last thing I personally want, and I'm adamant about this, is we are a special community. We really are. Whether people want to, thanks, Jamie. Whether people want to embrace that fact or not, we are, and we're mostly a caring community, and we're willing to give whatever knowledge we have back to the community, type of thing. But he's asking if by doing this kind of stuff, we're fracturing the community because we're opening up problems. And my answer to that would be look, if you have a problem with a certain individual or individuals before, then opening yourself up is probably going to give them an opportunity to allow that fracture to expound upon itself, or they will just give you a thumbs down and walk away, which is why you should never pay attention to thumbs downs. But I don't know. Richard, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of. Do you remember that live streamer that he had a gun on his? He was making some pop about. Was it he had some opinion about gun laws, or he made some criticism of somebody else's video in a live stream about how someone blah blah blah. But anyway, he's got a gun in his hand and he's streaming away and blah blah blah, blah, and all of a sudden bang, then thing goes off, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hang on a minute, that wasn't planned. And that, I mean, that's something very specific. But if there's a crack, I think the potential for live streaming is that crack can be highlighted or even exposed. If like you go back to the trolling comment, if somebody makes a comment, if you're, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing. I've had comments that it's easy to go, you just ignore the thumbs down, you brush it off. But we've all had that comment that's just niggled, and if that happens to be a live comment, it either presses a button or it flicks a switch. That puts you on the back foot, and you start thinking about that, not thinking about what you're doing. And if you're operating machinery at 90% concentration, that then opens up that crack to potentially worsen.
Losing a finger.
Well, let me ask you a question though, and I want to take the reverse of that. If there is that crack that you said has been exposed, like you said, Richard, is there a way to mend that? Because you're actually I only have dealt in produced videos. I've only ever done produced videos. I did one live with Jamie once, as he was kind of my earworm, and I did one, and it was, I think, a half an hour long at the most, and I was asked never to do it again, so I haven't. but any fractures that happen with produced videos that I've done have always come from people that I don't know. I'm not familiar with these people, and so and everyone wants to hop on the bus and say, "Oh, they're a bunch of trolls." I don't know that they're trolls. I just think they're people who have been attracted to the video and the subject matter, and they have a critique. It's not hard to look at somebody who says, "Oh, you got that Boston hat on, so you must be a prejudiced, long-haired hippie freak." I mean, I can ignore a comment like that all day long. If somebody has an honest criticism, then I will at least listen to that and take it into consideration.
I 100% agree with that, Chris. I absolutely do. But the advantage of that is when you get that kind of comment in a produced video, you could be,
it's easy. It's easy to dismiss. I'll give you that.
You're probably not thinking about that in the workshop. I mean, you might be, but you're probably not. Whereas
you're right.
When that comment comes within a live, when you're doing whatever it is you're doing, that there's a different sort of setting. I think and it doesn't necessarily have to come from somebody that you don't know. I mean, I've had people that have never pop in a live stream before. I think only you actually has made a comment in my lives. But I have seen, and I'm pretty sure that other people have as well. Probably the same live stream that I'm thinking of. You're watching it, and somebody says, either the person doing the live says something, and one of the viewers doesn't like it, or one of the viewers says something that the live streamer doesn't like, and all of a sudden, the atmosphere changes and the conversation changes, and it becomes a completely different live stream. And I think, I think that's just a personality thing. I don't think it's necessarily.
I think it is too. I think it's how much you're willing to open up yourself up to that kind of criticism. Are you willing to be disheveled by a negative comment, or can you blow it off? And if it's a sensitive topic, how quickly can you blow it off and put your concentration back to what you're doing? I don't know, and I'm going to sit here and preach and tell you that I'm some kind of pro at that.
One good way, I guess, you could try and avoid it is, obviously, you have people that are talking in your ear, reading out comments and things like that. Before you go live, just say to them, if there's any comments out there that could be taken as a troll, or any knobheads out there, if you like, just say, don't read them out to me.
I don't want to know about it. Yeah. And you know what? If you have somebody that's willing to do that for you, that's pretty much the solution. And and that person can, after the live is over with, that person can tell you about those comments. But it's better to be upset off camera than it is to be upset on camera. Is basically.
Oh yeah, without doubt.
Without doubt.
So,
Well, I don't know if anybody else in the chat has anything more to want to add to this today. I can speak for myself here and hopefully say that I actually like a lot of live shows that are going on, and I will sit and watch the majority of them. Obviously things go off and bells, whistles, things happen, and I have to get up and leave. But I don't exit out of the live stream. I just kind of leave it going until I can get back and become more interested. And sometimes I find a live stream and it's an hour and a half into the live stream and I sign in and there's like the last 5 minutes of it. It's not because it's just because I just first noticed it. I mean, I want to mention some folks that do live streams that I really do like. Andy Heel, Age Bespoke. Very interesting live streams to watch. I like watching Dale as well because they do cool videos and they also do a really good job at their live streams. And there's a lot of other people out there that do them as well. And it would take too long for me to mention everybody. But I mean, at no point in time, boys and girls, was I or any of us ever saying live streams were bad, because I happen to be a consumer of them and I love them. We had to have a conversation about whether they were good, bad, and different for your own channel. First of all, from a creator standpoint, and then we want to get the perspective as from a member of the audience. How do you view them? That was the whole theme of this podcast today. That's all we want to talk about.
Speaking of live shows, Mr. Matt Brander's out in the chat.
That's my buddy right there.
How you doing, Matt?
Is he? This is the announcement for the Maritime Woodworkers show coming back soon.
Hashtag bring back Maritime Makers show.
Yeah, Maritime returns.
Hashtag just saying.
Jamie still doesn't feel like you gave him a proper spotlight.
If I had a criticism of live streams, or more accurately, I think live streamers, it would be to make more of those live streams shorter, condensed, produced, concise episodes. Because I don't have the time to sit and watch all the live streams that I want to watch.
Right.
I kind of feel, and this is going to sound really pathetic, I kind of feel like I'm missing out, and I kind of feel like I'm letting those people down. Do you know what I mean? But like Wayne, I know I said it a few weeks ago in one of these shows. It's like, I don't get to see Wayne's show. I know he does them like 3 times a week and at different times of the day, but if I miss the lunchtime ones because I'm at work, and then when I'm not at work and I'm at home doing other stuff in the evening when he's on, I'm doing other stuff, and I don't. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm missing out. Whereas if there was like a edited 10-minute
version of that live stream,
version of that, even if it was like, just to kind of get a feel for what was said and what was going on, and just kind of not miss out. Does that does sound pathetic, doesn't it? But do you know what I mean? I mean it from like the right place.
It's not. You know who used to do that, and we're going back. Oh gosh, quite some time, maybe five years ago. You know and it's the first time I saw anybody do it, and I'm not going to credit him as being the hey, this guy thought of it. But are you familiar with Binging with Babish?
Yes.
No.
Okay,
but binging, I miss everything, so that's not.
Well, that's right. Well, Binging with Babish, way back in the day, like I'm talking 5 years ago, used to do live streams about, and it's a cooking show, Richard, which is probably why you have no interest. But he would do live streams on how to prepare food, and then after the live stream was over, a couple of days later, a produced version of that would come out in like a 10-minute segment, which basically he would just edit to keep the important parts in if you really want to learn how to make this dinner. And that's how the video went. So that's what you're talking about. I take it.
I feel like I didn't know who PewDiePie was just then, because I've just put binging into not even the search engine, and it's come up with Siri suggests bingingwithbabish.com. Google searches binging with Babish, binging meaning, and binging with Babish cookbook. So I definitely feel like I just came out from under a rock.
He may have 6 million subscribers. I could be wrong. Anyway, let's wrap this up. I mean, guys, and thank you to everybody in the chat who shared your thoughts with us today. I wish we had more time to discuss this, and actually, I wish we had a larger forum to get like the Beard Time 16 and also Andy Heel and Dale on here with us. And maybe in the future we'll be able to open that up and get some folks in here and give us different perspectives, because I think that would be awesome. It's an interesting topic.
I think you can actually get 10 on there with a free one.
All right. Well, cool. Well, you know, in the future we'll look into doing that because I think it'd be fun to revisit this, and then you guys all of you guys out in the chat can look at me and go, "You're a donk cute. You just don't know what the hell you're talking about." And you know what? Okay, it's fine. Jamie,
Steve Coombs has just put true. I don't know
Oh,
whether
no.
that's like in reply to you, Chris, or something in that's happening. I just thought I'd read it out because it was appropriate. That was all.
it's perfect timing. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
I still love you, man. Don't worry about it. Jamie, sing us your song, please. Let's get this
All
wrapped up.
All right. It's Jamie's page.
Oh, yay.
Right. So, first order of business is obviously this is all about live shows. So, Scott, the Blue Light Turner, has kindly put together a schedule of everyone's live shows. You can find that over on his website, which is thebluelightturner.com. I'll put a link over in the chat now so you can go and check that out. So, thanks for doing that, Scott. Second order is Andy from AH Bespoke. It was his birthday on Friday, just gone. So
Happy belated.
happy birthday, Andy. The last or another order of business is not so good. Dennis from the channel Wood Den. He had a rather large heart attack the other day, and he actually had to have a quadruple heart bypass.
Yowza.
So he put out a little video on his channel with an update and all that stuff. So go over and comment on that video or something. Just let him know you're thinking of him.
I hope he's on the mend. Good for him. Okay. Well,
He seems to be on the mend. And finally, I've got a premiere coming out in 29 minutes, and Caitlin's 15 minutes after that.
fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, Jamie. I will go ahead.
I've got to do my shout out. So my shout out is Emmett Newson from Dead Rise Woodcrafts. So Emmett does a thing called the Maker Swap, which he does every month, where he makes something and somebody else makes something, and then they swap it around. And yeah, he puts out them videos. It's a pretty good thing he has going on. Well, this week he done like a little extra one, which he does every now and again. And I was said person, and he turned a button, which was could be used like a paperweight or something like that. It came out really cool. So yeah, Emmett, Dead Rise Woodcrafts.
Awesome. All right, Richard, I'll give you. I'll let you continue searching because I know you don't have one. My shout.
I was just trying to pick which one I was going to shout
Yeah,
out.
right.
But
And I've got a bridge to sell anybody who believes that. My shout out goes to, since you were talking about resin casting last week with Zach. Oh, this was actually a brilliant video. Jake Thompson put out a video. Just put it out actually. It's called "Make Molds for Resin Casting: A Beginner's Guide." And I watched that today, and it was actually, it's pretty instructive. It's a great video if you're looking to get into resin casting and you want to know how to make your own molds without spending a ton of money. Jake showed you how to do it today. So if you have the opportunity, go check out Jake Thompson, Make Molds for Resin Casting, A Beginner's Guide, and you'll be well on your way. So well done, Jake. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
He's got some cool videos coming out very soon.
Awesome. All right, Richard. Well, you're on the hook.
Okay. Well, fortunately, that wasn't one of my two shout outs, and I'm going to do both of them just to prove Chris wrong. These aren't YouTube shout outs; these are actually Instagram shout outs. So, Chris, you can have a little snooze if you like. The
Just send me the links.
I will do that. The first one is to our good friend, and that's all three of us is good friends, and no doubt the viewers as well. Andy Berkey. He put out a picture on his Instagram profile today of a chair that he's reupholstering, and it just looks absolutely amazing in true Andy Berkey style. So if you are on Instagram and you don't follow Andy, then do. Even if you're not interested in upholstered chairs, some of his morning stories, the views that he puts in photographs with him walking Fiona, his dog, absolutely breathtaking. Just worth it just for that. And the other one goes out to the guys and girls part of the team at Enfield Refurbishments in the West Midlands, not in Enfield, but in the West Midlands here in the UK. They are fanatical Festal fans, but ignoring that completely, they do amazing work. The boss there has been helping me out with a little building/builders issue here at home, but that's another story for another day. The work they do and the quality that they produce is absolutely awe-inspiring and worth putting in your Instagram feed. So definitely go and follow them. Enfield Refurbs and also Andy Berkey as well. They're my shout-outs.
Awesome.
On Instagram. Links
Nice.
where Chris puts them.
I think that wraps up rather nicely, Mr. Morley. Thank you.
Cool. So I guess we better wrap tonight's show in lieu of Jamie and presumably Caitlin's premieres after the live show, which if you're listening in the future is probably of no relevance because it's already happened, but you can obviously still go and watch the video. If you are still listening, well done. And I say well done because it's been a bit of a difficult one this week. Yeah. Till next week when we talk about something else, we will say goodbye. So take care.
Have a great week.